Alright, for today we're going to be looking at a Shimano Alivio hydraulic brake lever. You can see this one's a little bit beat up, but the main problem is that it's been leaking from the cap here. So we're going to open this thing up and take a look inside to see what's going on. So the first thing that we've got to do is put the lever so that it's level with the ground. So just going to open up the back side here and then rotate this so that it's level with the ground like this. And you can see here that the side of this thing is just soaking wet with hydraulic fluid. So once the lever is flat like this, then we can begin to open it up. But before we do that, I would recommend removing the brake pad so we don't contaminate it. So down here at the caliper, we've got a pin here that's holding the brake pad in. So I'm just going to grab that with a pair of pliers and give a yank. Pull that out. And on this particular style, usually you can pull the brake pads out from the back, but on this one, they have to go forward, so you have to remove the front wheel in order to get them out. And what I'm going to do then is put these far away from here so that there's no chance of contamination. And that will set me up and make me ready to dive into this project. All right, on the top we've got these 2 bolts here. Just for the record, these are not Allen keys; they are star nuts, a T10 star nut. So I'm gonna get my T-wrench in there and work on opening them up. As you open these up, you want to make sure you keep a rag handy, because you'll start to see fluid coming out the sides here. Now we're going to go back to an Allen key or an Allen wrench and remove the bleed port valve. And then once those are out of the way, we can lift this cap off and then try to get a look at what's going on down inside there to figure out why it's leaking and how we can stop that. And once you get that cap off, then you want to take a rag and just start wiping around here, clearing up any of the gunk, because we want to try to keep gunk from contaminating the inside of this, and so we want to do the best job that we can to clearing this junk out. Some Q-tips could help too if that's an issue. And then what you'll see you have here is the piston gasket that's kind of sealing this whole thing, so we can see up underneath here and see what's going on. And my guess is that this gasket has come loose or got some gunk underneath it, which was why the brake lever was leaking. But I'm going to take it off and see if I can get underneath here and see what's going on. So after you've cleaned out the main part of the lever, you can get a Q-tip, and you can see there's all kinds of gunk down in here. And I think what's happening is that this gunk got underneath the seal, so that it was no longer tight and kind of messed things up. Right here is the seal. The same thing, you get a Q-tip and go around the outside edges here and just make sure that there's no debris or anything that would affect the way that this is sealing. Okay, to get started, I'm going to take a Q-tip and I dipped it in a little bit of mineral oil, and I'm just going to apply a little bit around the edges here. Now I'm going to take the seal here, just slip it down over the top. Make sure it's all nice and snug all the way around. Then I'm going to repeat that process with the mineral oil. Just rub some on the outsides of the seals here. Make sure it all sits down nice and tight. Then I'm going to take the cap and set it back down over the top of this. and then put the screws back in. So go ahead and place the screw back in there. I went ahead and cleaned the threads off of mine with that Q-tip, making sure there wasn't any debris that was going to be going down with it. So we just tighten this down. In the beginning, what we're going to do is just make sure that it sits before we tighten it, because what we're going to do is then try to even this up a little bit. So we don't get any creases or crinkles in the seal underneath there. Go ahead and tighten this down. And notice something interesting is that as this goes down, you might see the oil level rise up in the bleed port there, which is totally normal, so don't worry about that. Okay, so I'm going to give that a little twist there, nice and tight. Same thing here. Finger tighten that. And you want to go back and forth and check, because sometimes as you tighten one side, then the other side will need to be adjusted and tightened up too. So just going back and forth until the pressure that I'm using is the same, and then we're good to go. So now we need to bleed this brake, since we just removed all the fluid from it. So we'll jump into that. So I have a proper Shimano bleed cup here. I'm going to just put it into the bleed port and push down so that it seals up like that. And then there's a little plunger here, so I've moved that plunger that allows the oil inside of it to go down below. It's a real nice system that they have. And then all I'm going to do is pump this. And as I do that, it's going to suck oil down in there and hopefully squeeze out some of the air bubbles. So as I do it, I can see air bubbles coming out, which means it's working up nice. And just do this a bunch of times. That's to get us started. Then, so ideally what we want to do is get a bleed block down inside the caliper. And that will allow us to really then zero in on getting the levels here right. So you're basically just going to repeat this process over and over until you don't have any air bubbles coming out. And it could be a while. So when you squeeze this and you're not getting any more bubbles, then you just put that plunger back in the cup so that when you pull the cup off of there, you don't lose the oil out of the bottom. Make sure you've got your bleed port screw handy so you can screw it in when you pull the cup off, and you want to keep a rag handy also to handle the extra fluid that's going to come out here. Just going to pop that off. Put my blue bleed port screw on there, hand tighten it, and then I'll be ready to tighten it with my Allen key. There you go. That is how you disassemble the Shimano hydraulic brake lever and put it back together.